Thank you. It is Eric Previn from the 3rd District on this final minute. So I am concerned that the board has claimed to restate its public comment rules, but in fact it has changed the rules. And there is confusion. There's a lot of confusion about it. Witnessed all of the public speakers today raised concerns. So I would recommend that the Board of Supervisors reconsider and put on a public noticed agenda a proposed plan of attack for public meeting comments, so that then you could hear from the members of the public in such a way that they could speak on that without being disenfranchised from what is 90 items today. You put on today's agenda 90 items. You canceled August 30th with nary a week's notice. It was on, I think, August 9th that you canceled the August 30th, thereby compounding, as I raised on that day, multiple items. And then you roll out this draconian and restrictive new set of interpretations of your rules, which are inaccurate, among other things. So the scrubbers and the factual checkers need to put something on the agenda, bring the public in appropriately, and then we can move forward. Okay, that's what I would recommend. You could do
I was very lenient to give you that 1 minute because your time has already expired, sir. Goodbye.
In the future, the board rules do not allow ceding time for public comment.
That's correct. Let's be clear.
And Madam Chair, perhaps council should, or the executive officer should reinforce the point that the change in the rules was notified well in advance.
Yep.
And
weeks.
in writing. So any assertion that it was sprung on public, that it's a drastic and or a draconian alteration of what has been afforded, just simply needs to be challenged. It should not be asserted without a response.
Yes, Supervisor, Madam Chair, just to clarify the record, there has been no change in the board rules. The board rules, as written prior to today, allotted 6 minutes for public comment. Today, we allowed for 6 minutes for comment. There has been no change. In addition to the 6 minutes, members of the public who wish to speak on a policy item will be given additional time to do that. Mr. Previn, we would ask that you comply with our process. Members of our staff tried to work repeatedly with you today to ask to have you designate your time so that we could run a more efficient board meeting, which falls within the prerogative of the board, which is authorized by the Brown Act, which is authorized by our board rules, and we look forward to working with you.
May I just add, the adopted rule of the board before I was even elected was a total of 6 minutes per speaker. The fact that they didn't enforce it came to our attention. We did not adopt a new rule. As a matter of fact, we made it somewhat more generous because the rule that was adopted said you had to spend 3 minutes on public comment and you only had 3 minutes for everything else. Everything else. And so we said no, we would rather have the speakers allocate their own time. But we reinstated enforcement of the rule that already existed for a 6 minute limit. I think you've been coming here for quite a long time, but I don't know how long it's been since the board enforced its adopted rule.
We're not covering our tracks. Well, we do roll giving information that was made available at the last two meetings, and here's a copy of what was given in both English and Spanish, and now it's even printed in the board book. So it's there. There's information there. It's not for you to decide. These are rules that were in place even long before we got here. It's not that I don't want to. Those are the rules. Executive office will call us into closed session.
In accordance with Brown Act requirements, notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors will convene in closed session to discuss item CS1, public employment, interview and consideration of candidates for the position of Chief Probation Officer, item CS2, department head performance evaluations, and item CS3, conference with labor negotiators, Sachi A. Hamai, and designated staff as indicated on the posted and supplemental agendas.